There is still $5,000 on the line here, folks, and 2 matches left to see. Welcome back, everybody, or welcome for the first time if you're just tuning in now. We're rolling into the last day of the NorQuest Esports Series Valorant Champions Division. My name is Possible. Alongside me is Dryad, and we have the absolute pleasure of bringing you 2 amazing games, the semifinals, and then later on the finals, both of which are best of 3s.
Yeah, I am so excited for the matches today, and all the matches, if you guys were catching up with the stream yesterday and looking at the teams competing, all the matches have one of the teams that we already seen before, and that already brings a lot of expectations. I mean, we have some crazy plays and clutches, everyone just fighting. I think, you know, even coming up with the surprise towards the end when we saw that 13-0 score for Big Baller Brand.
And I love that we're starting off with the Obey clips here from yesterday, because they opened up the stream with their win versus Foxy, and then we got to see them later in the day. Or no, we didn't get to see them later in the day yesterday, but we might get to see them today as they've made it to the second round. They're currently on the other side of the bracket. They're playing Team Ancients, who we also got to see, who honestly clobbered their game. Loved those guys too. So that other semifinal is going to be great. And today we get to start off with Big Baller Brand, who were a very fun team to watch yesterday in the final match. And also DNADIFF, who we didn't actually get to see yesterday, but who came into the knockout bracket as our #1 seed.
Yeah, this team is also one that we have a lot of high expectations for. And even if we didn't see them on stream, this is a team that has played for other tournaments. And it's a team that can be one of the better knowns that are coming up for this semifinals and this grand finals potentially. So yeah, it looks that it's going to be very exciting for the set of people around. Actually, they were the ones who banned Haven, so they didn't want to deal with the pressure that they had yesterday, and looking to keep playing as confident as we saw them on that second map.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see the crazy clip there from Soul, the one that made me absolutely lose my mind. And I'm excited to see Big Baller Brand, right? We're going to get to those clips, and oh, maybe not. Oh, well, either way, though, you were talking about yesterday, you were talking about Haven. They played it up against Night Raid, and it looked a little bit difficult, right? It didn't really feel like they were as comfortable on Haven as they should be, because when we went to Ascent, it wasn't close. It wasn't an 0-6 start for Big Baller Brand. They blew through Ascent 13-0 against a team that they had to make a comeback against on the first map. So I'm glad to see that Big Baller Brand have learned their lesson. They're not dealing with Haven at all in this series. They say, we'll fix it later. We got a tournament to win, guys. Back to what was tried and true. Onto Ascent we go for our first semifinal.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to Ascent, I mean, not really a surprise coming here. One of the maps that we see the most in Valorant, and one of the maps that is also very interesting just because some of the teams like to bring surprises. You were talking about Big Baller Brand yesterday, maybe potentially think about some surprises to bring. I don't know if they'll do it today, but this is the best opportunity. I mean, they didn't want to take us to Haven because we already, maybe the enemy team can predict them a little bit more. So with that element of surprise, even with the playstyle that they had yesterday, being able to change from very aggressive to very passive, that is going to be the opening tool for this team if they want to stay ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always going to keep my eye on the man on your screen right now. The Jet, the mastermind, the absolute maniac, Sugar Free. This guy was playing like Baby Bay yesterday. Dude was all over the map, charging in, had no fear whatsoever, and you can already see he's getting off to the same thing here. He's got the frenzy in hand, he's charging straight into Cubby. Doesn't care that there's 2 players there, knows he can take that gunfight, has confidence in himself. Be a little bit careful here. Big Baller Brand, they're just charging up the middle of the map. They have left one over by B main to catch and try and see if anyone is going to lurk out through B main. But no one's actually going this direction. Renz is now going to meet up with his team, use some shock darts to dissuade those players joining. And I mean, Big Baller Brand, ooh, they got to be a little bit careful. Adder picks up a couple, living up to the 2K in his name. Now we're left in a 2v3.
Spike planted.
And this pistol round already with so much action, everyone trying to go mid for the side of the attack is trying to get something going. Now it's gotta be playing for the retake.
not much really to work with on this retake. It's just pistol, and we're completely out of utility. In 20 seconds, the smoke will be up, but I don't really think that is enough. Nice recon dart there. Oh, both players look toward it, and Welshie takes advantage. Strong start here for Big Baller Brand.
Yeah, good start. Always being able to take advantage from that pistol round, and now going to the second round, buying those Spectres. Always being so good for this team. We saw it yesterday, and it is the same scenario. This is a team that if they get the confidence, if they get the momentum, they are not going to let it go at all. So,
oh yeah,
Big Baller Brand, I mean, they are staying on top. They want to keep it. They're playing a little bit faster, so I want to say if DNADIFF, they're able to punish this in time before Big Baller Brand is able to get even more rounds.
It's gonna be pretty hard to punish Big Baller Brand this round, though, as it is the second round, anti-eco. You folks know how it goes at home. One team has guns, the other team, not so much.
One enemy
and yeah,
remaining.
the kill feed kind of does all my work for me here. I can just sit back and relax in this round.
Yep, there's pretty much nothing they can do. This is when it becomes a little bit more interesting for the side of DNA, and this is when I want to start seeing that economy being better for them. So there it is, yeah, buying all those Vandals, all those Phantoms coming through, and able to get more value. So it is one of the risks as well that you take, but you know it's going to be worth it for the team that wins the gun round, is being able to buy the Spectres, but knowing that on that third round, you're still kind of a little bit behind in that gun power.
And I want to just double back real quick. Take a look at the difference in the compositions here. Because these two comps do very different things. I mean, when you have like the Astra, the Sky, and the Sova, right? It feels like a very team-coordinated effort versus DNADIFF, who have more individuals on their team. People who want to take solo gunfights, but when you're going in solo into a 3-stack like that, Adder has found out the hard way how that generally goes. Now Big Baller Brand, they're working their way toward the A site. Nick, that's an ambitious teleport, but nobody spots him! He gets 3 out of it! That is critical, and now it's just Sugar Free left alone.
How did no one hear that? How did no one see the Omen teleporter in the back getting 3 kills? That is going to be huge, and the defense finally able to get that first round. It's going to be a 1-2 DNADIFF. Able to keep their guns as well, so that is going to be good. And Big Baller Brand now are going to be struggling a little bit more. So even if they wanted to play fast, even if they wanted to keep their momentum, you definitely need some more intel, and also to be a little bit more careful against the Omen.
In Big Baller Brand's defense, I think the thought process was, oh, we see the end of the teleport. He must be teleporting away, like into hell or behind a double box or something. Very few people expect Nick to be that ambitious there, right? I mean, it's a hard prediction to make. I like this play from Neon, getting early aggression through a lobby, and Big Baller Brand, they have to respect it. The combination of, I believe, the recon dart alongside the smoke there's nothing they can do to counter Neon, so they're forced all the way over to the other side of the map.
Yeah, and I like this. Everyone rotating to B, everyone making sure they're able to get some more intel before pushing in. In the meantime, the defense, I mean, they do have 3 on A, so that is going to be a little bit of a distraction.
Well, it was an airy setup, but Ezire ain't having any of it. Yeah, no, Aiko's not having a good time either. Hard for a Spectre to win that gunfight in general there. And things don't get any easier for DNADIFF in this round. It's a 3v5 retake. Sugar Free. Oh, spotted going forward. That aggressive gambit's not going to quite work out. And now DNADIFF, they have a bit of an opening. Recon Dart's still up here for Dubbin. That's a great tool to try and get this retake going. There it goes. Already deep into the site, and a nice shot there from Neon. Flaming Welshie. Suddenly, it's even Stevens in terms of player count. Problem is we're running out of time, and DNADIFF feel like they still have to clear out B main because they weren't sure if a player was there or not. There's just no time to defuse now, so it's exit frags. That will be the name of the game for DNADIFF. Dubbin will get 1 more before he finally falls, and I mean, at least there was damage, and DNADIFF, they get out with 2 guns.
Yeah, that is exactly what they wanted to do. At least there's some damage, at least there's some kills that they're able to get away with towards the end. But Big Baller Brand are the ones to get away with that route, and it was all just playing for that time. It was all waiting. No one else was peeking after they saw Sugar Free dying. They knew they needed to be careful. And with that, they were able to recover from that economy a little bit better. This is something that they want to keep going. We see Sugar Free not really buying any guns. Oh, it seems like
Yeah, he's
trying
got the
to use
Blade
that Blade
Storm.
Storm. Yep.
Yeah, he's gonna go for the jet play. Up over the top, onto the boxes. Actually surprised how reserved that was. I thought he was gonna go for the classic dash in and just be a maniac play, but instead, waiting judiciously for that lockdown to come through. Big Baller Brand, they're gonna clear one. They're gonna make sure nothing gets past them this time around. Hell's the only place they could be standing, and there's a concuss there. That hits Aiko. I mean, there's nothing Aiko can really do in that scenario. Yeah, except die to Sugar Free. This should be an easy pickup on this round now for Big Baller Brand. DNADIFF, I think they still... No, actually, I think they dropped both of their actual weapons, so... Just a sheriff for adders. He can try and do some damage to Big Baller Brand here. The economy is not in a position where DNADIFF can't catch up, especially if Adder can retrieve that gun and have a go with this.
Oh, but it's gonna be a 1v4. Now the best scenario to deal with if you're that Phoenix. Even with the run it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time at this point. Adder 2K, he's gonna backstep straight into Instinct. And there it goes. Big Baller Brand getting out of that with 4 alive as well. They're gonna pad their economy for the next few rounds. In DNADIFF, they're gonna have another chance to try and catch up.
For Big Baller Brand, when we saw the Blaze Storm being used, it seems like DNADIFF, they knew that this ultimate was going to be used. They're playing a little bit more careful, but I mean, it didn't really work out for them at all. They got 2 kills. We saw this Jet getting 2 kills, and then it became more difficult for DNADIFF to even make those rotations. Everyone getting picked at the end, and Big Baller Brand just still getting ahead.
Here's the gambit from DNADIFF. Neon's got that op now. That's pushed out super far. It's going to be a great catch onto Welshie there, who didn't have anyone out in mid assisting that dry push through the smoke. Nick's going to keep himself safe by TPing in to Hell, but that paranoia will give away his position a little bit. You can see Sugar Free coming around from Gen, completely aware of where the Omen was hiding. Aiko will be able to trade onto Instinct, but it's still Big Baller Brand who get onto the site. They're hesitant, though. They're not confident in their control. Not until Sugar Free gets that done. Now it's a player advantage. And Big Baller Brand are going to plant the spike.
Spike planted.
Another retake. I mean, it's been the narrative for all the runs that we've seen pretty much is DNADIFF trying to make something happen. Dubin actually does get one, getting Sugar Free. That is huge for the team. 2 more, though.
Between the Cloudburst and the Recon Dart, you can isolate Ren. They know where he is. He has to take this fight alone and will be able to trade it, at least for one. Izire, the last person standing now, pops those Nano Swarms kind of early. The Shock Dart's going to clear the other one out while Dubin pushes to get rid of Izire. Gotta win this fight, and Izire's not having it. A 5th now for Big Baller Brand.
Playing it very carefully towards the end, and I love seeing those Sentinels always staying back, always knowing that that utility is going to be enough to waste as much time as possible from the enemy team, and that is exactly what the Killjoy does for the set of Big Baller Brand. Getting another round and now forcing an eco round for DNADIFF, which they're not looking very good, but I mean, if you look at the ultimates, they have absolutely everything.
Yeah, but they're going to have to recover some guns first if they want to make use of most of those ultimates. I'm not personally one who's a fan of a run it back when you only have a Sheriff. Neon starts off pretty hot, though. Aggressive play out through mid, straight onto Welshie, and I don't think that Big Baller Brand expect Aiko to be sitting here. Only good on that first one, but, I mean, it's an eco round. That is not a bad trade. I mean, Aiko even lives to tell the tale.
Ooh.
Sugar Free's left alone now. Spike dropped and everything. Gonna get spotted by that Owl Drone. Tagged and everything. Dash has to be invested to try and get out of dodge. Hunter's Fury's looking to pin him down and doesn't end up getting the kill, but it helps set Adder 2K up, and that is a much needed Thrifty.
Yeah, just that information was enough for DNADIFF, who I mean, they use those drones, they use those ultimates, and they're able to get away with it. Even if we saw that Dead dying early on after only being able to get one kill is going to be more than enough. And it also recovers your economy a little bit more. So Big Baller Brand still being able to buy, but maybe trying to use some ultimates this time around. They do have their running back. They do have the From the Shadows if they need it. And any sort of information that they can get with this ultimate should be enough.
Well, in DNADIFF, they liked how last round they played a bit aggressive and it worked. They're not continuing the full tempo here, but they will push forward for some control of B main. 3 players invested into this B main position here. Neon's gonna have to dash out, afraid that the Nano Swarms is gonna take him down. The Shock Dart would have probably killed him if he hadn't got out of that one.
And there's still 2 members in A. Oh.
Ooh. But, well, there's 2 members in A for DNADIFF now.
Yep, there's that.
Yeah, not so much for Big Baller Brand. Sugar Free was hoping to get that orb in a Blade Storm, but I guess just recovering his buddy's Vandal will also work. That's one way to get yourself some firepower. Seeker's gonna be invested. Big Baller Brand, they want to take this round. That does help them find all the players here on A. Cybercage, I think, actually covers that first flash, but the second one will land appropriately. Sugar Free gets out of regardless. And Big Baller Brand, in an instant, they've disposed of most of DNADIFF.
Spike planted.
Yeah, they use that utility. They use those Seekers that are always so helpful for the team. And there's only the Sova left.
Oh, poor guy.
Yep, not able to do much. Yeah, it is Big Baller Brand. We saw a very interesting start for them too. They started very slow. They started some of them in A, some of them in B. And then out of nowhere, a very strong push, being able to make that work. And with those ultimates, being able to use them just in time. They like this patience. Once they're able to get any sort of information, that's when they want to play aggressive. And that's how they're staying ahead.
And with DNADIFF once again out of money, I don't think that the Big Baller Brand lineup will be falling behind anytime soon. They're going to keep that lead for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just going straight in here. There's nothing Nick can do. There's nobody else home on A. Adder has worked himself into a pretty tricky position. Might be able to pick up one as long as he can outpace Ezire, who is slowly coming up to check that flank.
Spike planted.
I think Adder's in a good spot here to get at least one. Oh, look at this, though. Big Baller Brand. They're not sticking around on site. They think that the push is coming through heaven, so they are playing aggressive through it. Now Adder's been spotted. Ezire knows exactly where he is. Oh, doesn't stop Adder from grabbing one, and a flash to keep him covered. Not much else he can really do here, though, unless he hits the most disgusting flash ever.
Player standing.
Dubbin's covering him a bit, but only for so long, and... Poor bud. Poor dude.
No.
All right, that's a 7th in the books. As expected,
else to
DNADIFF
run.
didn't have any real weapons.
Yeah, nowhere else to run for this Phoenix. I mean, there was nothing else they could have done. Big Baller Brand also, yeah, like you said, playing really fast and also protecting themselves until they knew that they had the number advantage. They were able to push in a little bit more aggressive. Big Baller Brand, yeah, like you said, also that economy is looking good. They have pretty much nothing to worry about for the next couple rounds if they're able to keep this momentum. And now Neon going with the operator.
Another heavy investment here from DNADIFF into this operator. Last time around, I mean, the op wasn't useless, but it didn't necessarily get what Big Baller Brand were hoping for. And Neon's already been forced off this mid position. Has to back up all the way into market and take a much more passive angle, and he can't even stay alive there. Ezire finds him at range all the way downtown. Adder's just desperately trying to hold on to some semblance of tree control here. Does have a couple flashes of paranoia helping him out. Still got one curveball too. Nick holding on to A main. That's a nice flash, and Nick will take advantage. There we go. That's what we needed for DNADIFF to succeed, but it doesn't get them a lead as both A players fall, and now it's just the rotates coming on over. Ico takes down Instinct, and it's just Ren's alive now for Big Baller Brand. He'll get spotted by the Neural Theft. Still gonna go for the plant. I mean, at least you get the plant money that way, but there's no way he wins that gunfight.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be it. And finally, DNADIFF able to make something happen here. Look a little bit messier for Big Baller Brand. And also, I mean, being able to get the operator was huge for DNADIFF. Their economy wasn't looking good. Big Baller Brand was getting ahead, was getting that confidence that we saw from yesterday. So it had to be stopped as soon as possible. They didn't want something like we saw last night. And a couple ultimates as well for Big Baller Brand if they want to try to get ahead again. It is going to be, once again, the Hunter's Fury. We see it used very often, either early on or late, just to try to cancel that defuse or anything that the team might need. I really like seeing this ultimate being used early on as well, just for a little bit of intel.
Renz did a good job yesterday, too, with those Hunter's Furies, pinning down Phoenixes in particular. Royce on Night Raid was having a very difficult time making use of the run it back. How that Hunter's Fury was being used. Adder gonna try his hand. Run it back goes out, but no such luck. And there it is. Renz going for it, setting up Sugar Free to take down Adder. Knew exactly where he'd be standing. And while it's only a pick, but I mean only one pick, I should say, for Big Baller Brand, that is the Phoenix, and the run it back disposed of. That was the best tool DNADIFF had in their pocket to actually walk away with this round.
Take flight.
Yeah, there were also so many ults that were used at that same time. It was a Hunter's Fury, it was from the Shadows as well, but Big Baller Brand able to get that number advantage, which at this point is going to be huge. He might be trying to go back to A. Yeah.
I like the double fake here. It's cutting noise, making it so DNADIFF have to at least spread out the map some. Look at mid, though. Look at Aiko. Aiko's not convinced
30
that
seconds
they've
left.
actually left. Waiting to try and catch them, coming back to A. Little does he know they've outpaced him.
find it?
But nobody is watching for this mid push right now. Well, she's in the astral form. As long as Aiko checks this corner, he's going to get a free one. Meanwhile, the execute comes onto site. Aiko didn't check it. He didn't check it. Well, she comes out to a free kill. Oh, and now it's just Neon on the other side of the world with an op in hand. There's no way for this retake to actually come through. Neon's just going to try and hold on to the op for the last round.
Yeah, that's really the best thing that you can do for DNADIFF at this point. Big Baller Brand already with 7 rounds in their pocket, almost 8. And DNADIFF, it's getting really difficult for them. They have the right steps. We saw them being hesitant, but you really need that synergy if you want to be able to retake. And when it's only one member left, it gets a lot harder.
Big Baller Brand just demonstrating how good they are on Ascent yet again. They really understand how defensive teams will set themselves up. Or, well, oh, that's unfortunate. Neon is probably super dead now. Got one. The smoke actually helping him out. A shorty, but no dice.
No.
Good try,
Last
Neon.
round
Good try.
before the switch.
Respect the effort, but at the end of the day, it's an op dropped. And I can't imagine DNADIFF are working with much change in this last round before the swap.
Yeah, all about the money, all about trying to get more money for the team. But if you're not able to get that operator, then it's not really worth it. It gets a lot more difficult. And especially at this situation, I mean, it's 8-3, where DNADIFF, they've been trying, they've been playing it slower, they've been playing it faster, but they do look scared against Big Baller Brand.
I mean, I would be. You put me in a lobby with Sugar Free, Ezire, Instinct, I'd be terrified, personally. Already the Seeker's going out. Big Baller Brand, they know they have an economic advantage, and they're not afraid to use it. Neon does have an actual gun, and maybe Big Baller Brand have bitten off more than they can chew. Ezire not with much health. And to find the timing here, but looks away at just the wrong moment. And Dubbin will be able to finish off Ezire with that shock dart. Good recovery from DNADIFF. It's not the half they were hoping for, certainly, but 4-8 is not unrecoverable.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last thing they could have done, and the best way that it could have gone for them as well. Just trying to use these abilities as well to get those kills. And Big Baller Brand, I mean, they still have the advantage here, but they usually, when we saw them yesterday, they were playing so much better on attack than defense. So it is going to be a risk here. Can they still be ahead when they're playing a little bit more passive, when they have to really hold those corners and protect themselves against DNADIFF? That is what I want to see, because we didn't really see much of it in Ascent when we saw them yesterday against Night Raid.
And don't forget, folks, all this amazing action is brought to you by so many sponsors, one of which is Explore Edmonton, who is a catalyst for change. Shout out to those guys. Make sure you check them out at exploreedmonton.com.
Yep.
Getting on into the second half here. DNADIFF on the attack. Not playing nearly as aggressive as Big Baller Brand were, I'll say that much. They're just working their way. They're setting themselves up for a split A push. Sugarfree and Instinct, though, doing a good job of holding this cross, and a nice clear from Instinct inside that cyber cage. Sugarfree pushing it forward, too. 3 in the round already for this Jett amazing player. And that's 4 to start it off.
Yeah, Sugarfree deserves everything that we talked about him before, and he's just an insane player. Yeah, I mean, and especially comparing it to DNADIFF, only 10 kills for the top frag, having a lot of difficulty keeping up with this duelist. Sugarfree, absolutely insane on the pistol round, on every single round, as well as when we see him playing a little bit of that operator, which we haven't seen much, but I'm sure it's just a matter of time.
Especially now that, you know, Big Baller Brand have worked onto the defense. Attacking ops, not so much a thing here on Ascent. Like, you can do it, sure, but I wouldn't say it's the most optimal strat. Yeah, exactly. Big Baller Brand, they're trying to push out B main here. I think that's quite a bit of info to DNADIFF, though. Sugarfree is holding it down, and Welshie's having a good time, too. Pushing out from tree, just sidestep Neon for the most part. And with Ren's disposing of the delayed lurk through mid, even though a couple guns have been dropped, it's still a pretty good situation for Big Baller Brand. They're going to walk into this. Neon doesn't have much health, but still picks up Ren's to start. So, at the very least, DNADIFF have done decent damage here. Ico can make it a bit more, but no. The cross, the trade from Big Baller Brand. Excellently played.
I'm a little bit concerned about DNADIFF now because double digits for a Big Baller Brand here on the defense now. And if you give them a couple more rounds, for maybe 2, they're gonna build that confidence. I just know it. I mean, we saw it yesterday.
We did.
That is exactly what is going to happen. DNADIFF, they have to cancel. They have to deny this momentum completely. Whether that is trying to get a couple ultimates as soon as possible, playing more aggressive, pushing the defense a little bit more, or even waiting for them. I mean, they have a lot of different possibilities here, but Big Baller Brand, they are just so fast to react to the attackers.
DNADIFF, it's about the long game for them. Being 6 rounds down already. They have to build some semblance of an economy. It's not just enough to get a win in this round. They have to do so comfortably. Neon, to do that, you got to be alive, buddy. Taking a rough end of a trade there with Renz. Sugarfree not quite able to hit that shot, so we'll just back on out, dash away. But at this point, with a player spotted in a lobby, look, Big Baller Brand, they're pretty confident that this is coming toward A. They've got the jump peek in mid, giving them information, and Ezire's already here. Great gravity well to set him up, and the paranoia completely avoided in tree. Now the nanoswarms keep DNADIFF out, and everything the attacking team wants to do, Big Baller Brand just seem at the ready for it. You got to be careful here, too. Oh, Nick's going to try and walk onto the site. Ezire picking up one, though. The rest of the gunfights go pretty well for DNADIFF, so suddenly they find themselves a player up. Instinct not exactly in the best scenario either. Doesn't have any flashes to get into that room, and Ren's just having a sheriff means that it'd be pretty difficult for him to get more than one pick. He's chasing down Dubbin, though. He wants that frag. Dubbin's just out, though. Look at him sprinting through mid. Nah, I'm getting away. Thanks, but no thanks.
Revealing area.
Oh, yeah, not really able to get any sort of value there, and DNADIFF, they do what we talked about. They deny the momentum going into the second half for this sort of Big Baller Brand. They didn't really allow that to happen. Big Baller Brand still not really worried about it yet. They're able to buy even an operator for Sugarfree, which we were talking about before. So, yeah, really good save for them. Really good way to also just keep those angles, being able to take down this out of DNADIFF as soon as possible. I mean, only 3 more rounds for Big Baller Brand to go.
Mathematically, it seems like Big Baller Brand have opted to sacrifice a gun on Welshie and instead give Sugarfree that op.
Get out of my
bold strategy. If Sugar Free doesn't get value with that op, then suddenly a lot is at risk. And DNADIFF, they are nowhere near Sugar Free right now. They're just charging onto A. It doesn't matter. He's higher. Oh, this is bowling pins.
Everyone
now,
just lined up.
Yeah, exactly. And now Big Baller Brand, they smell blood in the water. They're chasing down DNADIFF. This Aldron's going to get the tag. And Nick going to get one, maybe a second even, but not much more than that.
Everyone from Big Baller Brand, they didn't want to give any other round to DNADIFF, and that is a good way to deny it, even if we didn't see the kill coming from Sugar Free and the operator that we talked about. I mean, it was this Killjoy getting 3 out of nowhere. Everyone lining up on that crosshair and allowing it to happen. Really good positioning as well for the Killjoy to be able to stay alive just to get those 3. And it also allows him to get a couple of those ultimates. If that lockdown to use a little bit more defensively, it is going to be available. And Sugar Free, even, I don't know if we will be seeing about, but Blaze Storm, it is there.
And DNADIFF gambling their economy on this round. Thankfully, they sidestepped the first shot from Sugar Free. Gonna double back though, of course he is. Oh, that was a funny bone shot, if I'm not mistaken. Adder, he's gonna be feeling that one for a while, but at least he walks away from it. Another smoke gonna have to be invested here just to cross through mid, just to have a breath of fresh air for DNADIFF. Heal up for Adder. He's okay now, but he has to use the hot hands and the flame wall to do so. And I mean, getting through tree is just impossible against this composition. With both the Astra and the Killjoy, you're walking into Gravity Well, double Nano Swarm, Alarm Bot, 2 players. I don't want to be anywhere near tree, Dryad.
Yeah, it's just looking very difficult. I mean, look at this defense. Look at this positioning. Everyone playing so careful. No one is pushing this time around. They want to guarantee that it's the attackers that push them, and they're able to just hold those angles and win that duel.
And I mean, look at the long game here for Big Baller Brand. They keep control of tree. They make sure nobody pushes them. And even though the plant is going to go down without DNADIFF getting anyone, there's the free lockdown. A Hunter's Fury is going to be forced out now. And now you don't have to deal with that on the retake. So as long as Big Baller Brand can get onto site and clear that out somewhat effectively, this is going to be their round. Getting onto site, that is the tricky part at this point, though. Look at all these players just watching, waiting for anyone to show their face in heaven. Both Jets are going to pick up one. Aiko coming out from mid. Does make himself useful. There's the Blade Storm out over top. Sugar Free whips it, though, in a rare lapse of shots. Instincts got to make up the deficit. A right click. Whoever hits the right click, and it'll be Nick. Oh, he's not going to walk away from it. But DNADIFF, they stay in the game.
It was just the timing for Big Baller Brand. Sugar Free able to get 2 kills, a couple more coming through from the Killjoy, and it was looking really good. It was looking winnable for that round for the team, but just the timing didn't seem to be right. Not being able to hit those shots with the Blade Storm, it hurts a little bit to see, but it's just the nature of that jet. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't, and now that forces Big Baller Brand into an eco round.
Nobody hits all their shots. Happens to everybody.
Yep.
Oh, and look at Big Baller Brand. Classic tactics from them on rounds where they don't have much economy. They've pushed out mid. And with nobody on catwalk, they know that everyone's just going to be lined up here. Oh, Instinct just running out, but how many players are watching that smoke? DNADIFF, they don't need to see. They can be blind all day. They've got enough gunfire. Just barraging that doorway. Oh, that's a nice no-scope there from Welshie, but not really going to make up the difference here. Big Baller Brand is still going to be sent packing in this round.
Oh. It's just not... Yep, not easy to do for this Sova. Big Baller Brand, still 2 more to go, but DNADIFF catching up to the speed. I like to see it. Also, not really allowing that economy to get a lot better, but just enough to buy these Phantoms and to buy these Vandals, which also allows Sugar Free to buy the Operator, able to get 2 kills early. on. We saw in the last 2 rounds, but even then, you need to guarantee that positioning. If your team is going to play for the retake and you want to keep the operator, it's a little bit more tricky.
And DNADIFF are still walking a tightrope, right?
Joke's over. You're dead.
The second they give a round to Big Baller Brand, everything becomes more difficult. Good work negating the use of the run it back there, though. Nothing picked up whatsoever. It was just a bait over toward B in general, but it's not one that Big Baller Brand have to buy into now. They can keep 3 players here because that run it back didn't get out of B main effectively. Renz, ooh, on the site, picks up that one onto Neon, but the rest of it doesn't go so well for Big Baller Brand. Sugar Free's still hanging around, just waiting for anyone to show their head. He's not really going to be given the angle.
Look at this Omen, barely any HP too. So it's technically a 3v3 if you're able to just sneeze on the Omen, just a little bit.
That's you. Omen's dead. All right. Okay, there we go. First, we're gonna need Big Baller Brand to actually get onto the site. You have to be in range of someone to sneeze on them, and I don't think I think DNADIFF, they're just trying to keep their social distancing right now. Dubbin will fall though, and that is an opening, but we're just out of time. Big Baller Brand, they can't get in. They're just gonna go out back and save. Instinct looking for maybe 1 or 2. Ooh! Come on, sneeze on him. There we go. All right,
there
more than a sneeze. That was a full-blown coughing fit, and DNADIFF will fall. They lose all their guns too, and DNADIFF, they haven't really put much of an economy together. They've got enough to keep buying because they have won 3 in a row. But it is still tenuous for them.
Yeah, there's a timeout too. So yeah, a little bit of discussing when 2 more rounds going for Big Baller Brand, and that is going to be it. They're also, yeah, like you said, able to recover a couple of those guns, and also being able to buy when DNADIFF. They were just trying to keep it going by anything they could have. They were trying to force that retake every single time from the enemy team, and it was kind of working for a little bit. They had a couple rounds, but it's still almost that match point for Big Baller Brand where things get more and more difficult. If Sugar Free, if SR, say they're able to get this momentum, they're able to keep going with those kills, and also to be the openers more than anything, then Big Baller Brand already has this map.
We got quite a few alts on online or nearly online for Big Baller Brand too. So in a pivotal round like this, 1 orb off the Seekers, the Cosmic Divide, Hunter's Fury, both available for Big Baller Brand. Looking like quite a powerful round for them. Reminder, folks, all this action is brought to you by so many amazing sponsors, a few of whom are Alberta Innovates, ESIO, ATB, and Calgary Economic Development. Shout out to them and all our other amazing sponsors. It's thanks to them that we can put tournaments like this on and get to see these crazy plays.
Absolutely.
Blocking sight.
Sugar Free gonna get spotted by that owl drone, forced all the way off. And there's no trap this time set up for DNADIFF. They can force their way through tree without having to worry about Astra and Killjoy this time.
Blocking sight.
But they spot 3 players there, and they don't actually want to. Instead, they're gonna go toward the Astra and the Killjoy. Cosmic Divide going up, though. Now, DNADIFF, they have to consider. We haven't fully committed to this yet. We've gone up mid. We have good control of the map. Do we actually want to hard send it toward B through this wall? It'd be quite a risk to do so. I think they're just going to wait it out here.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
The wall falls. DNADIFF, they're inching their way back towards A. The problem is the spike is kind of stuck
30 seconds
in
left.
mid right now. That smoke is going to help, though. Dubbin can now get out of dodge.
Revealing area.
A recon dart to fake like it's going over toward B. But instead, look who's already up on A. Sugar Free has no idea that Nick is right there. Instinct with the guiding light. Can't really swing out the smoke confidently, though, and has to wait another 30 seconds for a guiding light to come up. Renz is going to try and deny the spike plant, but a little bit late to doing so. Still picks up Adder. So it leaves Big Baller Brand advantageously in a 4v3.
Oh, Big Baller Brand. I mean, they still have the numbers, but as they say that, they lose one, they lose two.
Renz at least gets the trade, and now it's all evened up. 2v2. And Cuss gonna clear out that corner, but Nick sidesteps it beautifully. We're running out of time for Big Baller Brand to get down here and actually defuse. Well, she's jumping down, and Dubbin's gonna catch him and Renz. Now, it's 11-9.
Getting closer and closer, slowly getting those points, and this is something that we saw yesterday, we are also seeing today. Big Baller Brand being really good at attacking, really good at playing aggressive, really good at going into the sides and planting. But when it comes to defense, that's when they struggle the most. So luckily for them, they were able to attack first. But when it comes to the defense, they're still trying to get ahead. They still have the points, but it's getting closer for DNADIFF. I like the steps, and I also want to say Omen gets away with the weirdest kills.
Yeah, Nick is having a good time just playing. That's why I love Omen players. Not because Omen is like the craziest agent in the game, but Omen players just find ways to play unorthodox. It's so much fun to watch. This is just an eco here for Big Baller Brand, so I mean, unless someone does something crazy, I'm expecting DNADIFF to do pretty well. That was a nice spin from Renz, but he's not gonna have too much fun when Adder walks out, or is he? Adder flashed himself! The cage dropped at just the wrong time. I mean, it is a 3v3 now. Renz? Oh! Or Instinct, rather. Not quite able to make that happen. Neon going over the top, but not the greatest accuracy there. Oh! Okay. Okay, guys. I guess that was a gunfight. Trigger Freeze just got a judge. It is only a 1v2, and there should be quite a few guns actually dropped out here, but oh, the Cloud Burst expires. One last tick on the Recon Dart. And that's the 10th on the board now for DNA.
Yeah, all the info that was given, allowing DNADIFF to just stay and to be able to get another one. And look at that. 5 rounds in a row for DNADIFF, looking so much better than what we saw them on that first half. Barely able to get anything. Big Baller Brand are now putting in an uncomfortable situation, even when they're able to buy, even when they have your ultimates. It doesn't seem like it's enough. It's just all about that playstyle and how aggressive they're playing. Sometimes they're able to rotate a lot faster, but now DNADIFF is making it a lot harder.
Big Baller Brand, it's back to the tried and true for them. An aggressive push out mid. And a big play for map control, but that leaves A open for grabs. Sugar Free feeling the burn. We'll be able to at least trade out Ezire, but no more than that. Instinct rushing out onto the site. This has turned into a flurry of blows. Renz is going to slow down the pace a little bit and gets that tag onto Nick. Both shock darts available. Nick gets away from the second one, though. Welshi, not much ammo left. Now it's just Aiko's stance. He's only got 30 health remaining. And Welshi's just going to smoke him off. Try and keep Aiko away. Cyber Cage expires, so Welshi knows that Aiko is still back in A main. Plenty of time to play with, though. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was going to say Aiko can just wait as long as he wanted and then bait like he was going around through heaven, but no, he just swings on out, and Welshi does manage to get Big Baller Brand up to match point, finally.
A lot of ultimates coming through for DNADIFF, so they have to try to utilize a couple of them for this round and the next one if they want to guarantee that win, if they want to guarantee at least them being the ones getting to those 13 points first. It's just looking very difficult. Big Baller Brand already in match point. And, I mean, towards the end, it didn't even look like that's how it was going to go. A lot of things that happened at the same time and leading to that 1v1.
Ooh, Owl Drone escorting Neon deep into mid already. Very effective uses of the map geometry as well as the jet hover there. Unfortunately, Renz does hear that hover and doesn't let Neon get away with it. DNADIFF in an instant are down to only 2 players against the full force of Big Baller Brand. They know that mid is clear, though, because they played through it with Neon. They are going to quickly rush their way. Oh, I thought they were going over to A, but they might actually just play slow. Bait like they're going toward A. Aiko wants to try and catch somebody on the rotate here. Renz is going to spot him, though, off that cistern peak. This is just so difficult for DNADIFF at this point. Oh, it's even more difficult now.
One enemy remaining.
Hunter's Fury largely whiffing, but I mean, it's just dubbing against the world. First one's good, but the second, third, and fourth were always going to be more difficult. Big Baller Brand, 13-10 victory on their map pick.
Yeah, really good job. Even though it got tougher towards that second half, and yeah, I think we figure out a little bit about Big Baller Brand and their strategies. Really good at attacking. When it comes to the defense, struggling a little bit more in all the maps that we've seen them, but still managing to stay ahead, which is the most important thing. I like seeing it from the team, but we have at least one more map to go for them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think honestly, if I'm DNADIFF, I'm probably not too upset with how Ascent played out. Yesterday we saw Big Baller Brand just roll Ascent. 13-0. They looked unstoppable. If you can play them close, which DNADIFF did, it was only a 3-round deficit for them. I think going on to the future maps, DNADIFF still have very much a chance to pull off a win on the next map and push us onto a map 3. The next map is Icebox as well. That is a map that yesterday in the best of 3 we saw in the quarterfinals, Big Baller Brand opted to ban. Now, they adjusted their bans for today. They only banned Haven as they only got 1 ban. But now, Icebox is left up in the pit. It's one that Big Baller Brand has not opted into in the past. I think there's still very much a chance we go all the full distance here.
Yeah, there's a lot more pressure now for DNADIFF, but obviously, like you said, still very much possible. And it was very even compared to, yeah, like we saw yesterday. We just can't get over that 13-0. That was not something that we see happening. I mean, at any level of Valorant, but especially in a tournament like this. And just a reminder that this event is also sponsored by NorQuest. It's brought to you by NorQuest. And did you know that NorQuest College has a growing esports team from Rocket League to Super Smash Bros. All the way to Valorant of League of Legends? Their community server is a host to many of this and more. So what are you waiting for? Join the NorQuest community at the link below the panel.
Yeah, thank you to NorQuest and all of our beautiful, amazing, intelligent, powerful sponsors here today. We're going to go to a quick break, folks. When we come back, it's map number 2. We head on to Icebox. Ascent is done and dusted, and thus, let's get on to Icebox. It's Big Baller Brand versus DNADIFF, Alliteration City in this semi-final. Once again, it's Possible and Dryad bringing you the action. We saw a 13-10 victory for Big Baller Brand on their own map pick. Now we move on to DNADIFF's Dryad.
Yeah, looking really close, but now in a map that we haven't seen before, at least in this broadcast, is going to be Icebox. Very interesting to see the playstyle. I think it can play a lot better into Big Baller Brand with the way that they were holding, especially in the defense. But even then, I mean, we talked about it. Their defense, it doesn't look as good as their offense.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think there's an argument to be made that DNADIFF can look to really just annoy Big Baller Brand here. Because a lot of the times when DNADIFF was getting ahead, it was off just really unorthodox angles and play, right?
Yeah.
Nick with some crazy teleports, some strange lurks coming out from players like Ico and Adder2K. And Icebox is a map that I think is unorthodox. It is unlike any other map. There's so many cheeky little angles and picks and narrow corridors that you can really annoy the enemy with. So I am looking to see some of that individual play from DNADIFF that I didn't really think that Ascent lent into their style. I'm looking to see them come up with some big dubs here on an individual basis when we move on to Icebox.
And it's already interesting for instead of DNADIFF bringing that Raze being so good at this map, being able to take that high ground positioning, but also one of the agents that we haven't seen as much is very, very dependent on specific maps. This one being one of the best ones to play this agent, and on top of that, you're going to get a lot of information with that Soba coming from both sides. And of course, the first time that we actually see this duel for both of the teams playing the Sage.
Yeah, I mean, the Sage is pretty much a classic pick here on Icebox, right? You can wall off on your attacking side so that you can safely plant the spike, and there are a lot of ways to deny an attacking team on your defense. So Sage definitely a classic when it comes to Icebox. I'm very intrigued by DNADIFF's comp because the Raze alongside the Jet, right? The double dive
No charges.
for DNADIFF here. They're going to be starting off on the attack. This lends itself... I can't speak English, Triad. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again today. I can't speak English. It leans toward a very aggressive style, right?
Yeah.
A very full sendy kind of style. And you can already see DNADIFF fully set up towards the A site. And they're just going for it, Dryad. They are en route.
Yeah, and also trying to get some information. It is the better that they can get, the better it's going to be for them to be able to push and effectively get this momentum going early on, especially now that they're attacking first.
I like that wall there from Ezire, denying access to back site, forcing a counter wall from Big Baller Brand.
Spike planted.
And that counter wall isn't nearly as effective, right? It's much harder, or much easier rather, for Big Baller Brand to get around. And look, Neon is just zoned in on this wall, while meanwhile the rest of his team is dying. Does manage to push through it and get one onto Welshi, but that is all that Neon is allowed. And so far away. I mean, Adder does pick up Sugar Free, who was coming around from the back.
Remaining.
Instinct here, caught in a crossfire, but I think Dubbin ran out of bullets.
One enemy
Still
remaining.
plenty of time. 1v1, right clicks going forward, but Renz with the ghost finds the head of Dubbin. And Big Baller Brand win yet another pistol.
Yeah, really good start as well, especially when you have the Reyna on the pistol round. Kind of an ideal situation for any team. Being able to get 1 kill, 2 kills, and also getting a little bit of HP remaining. Always going to be good to start it up and get the same momentum. Big Baller Brand. Another thing that we've seen from them pretty much every single time is that they are very good at winning that pistol round, and here in Icebox, there's no exception.
Eat your own heart out, Reyna.
That was rude, Viper. I heard that. Toxic. Oh, I guess, I mean, okay. Well, that one was accidental. I make puns a lot, Dryad, but that pun, unintentional. I think Instinct is very much intending to just go forward and, yeah, clobber fools. This is just the anti-eco. It's fully expected that Big Baller Brand walk away with this. They've been very clean in their anti-ecos after they win pistols, rarely dropping even a single player in these second rounds. Neon will find Renz and maybe one headshot on the Sugar Free. Nah, Instinct's gonna put a stop to that. Still very clean. 4 walking away from Big Baller Brand. They will get a very comfortable bonus.
Looking good so far, and for DNADIFF, they don't want it to be the same scenario as that last map, where Big Baller Brand was able to get that first, that second, and then able to also keep that momentum even if they lost that third. DNADIFF, they are having difficulty into that positioning. I'm curious to see how they're going to engage this time around when it comes to, you know, going A. Each one of the sides has its risk, especially when you have that wall coming through on A.
DNADIFF, they're back to that A take. They tried it in the first round. It didn't go so well, but pretty much the exact same setup for them, too. The Owl Drone over top, that same smoke coming through. Well, she's spotted by the Owl Drone, too. There's not much he can do to survive there. Sugar Free falling as well. Baller Brand struggling to actually get a pickup, and Instinct focusing in on the Sova. Didn't notice Adder standing up top. Ezire and Renz will at least make it a little bit costly, but doubt there's much more Ezire can do from this position. Does have a Vandal, but already used the heal, only at 61 health. 2 bullets to the body will eliminate him, so need nothing shy of perfect headshots. Ooh, spots Ico. Falls off that angle at just the right time, too. One more was coming on to swing, but this is still... it's not really winnable for Ezire. It's more of how much damage can he do.
Yeah, how many picks can they get? Seems like no silication, but not really able to do much with it.
Is he gonna try and sneak onto the site for a late defuse? He hears them running away. Nah, he's just gonna save this Vandal, it seems. Good for the economy. You were gonna lose this round anyways. Not a bad scenario for Big Baller Brand.
Yeah, so pretty much the same as we saw before. 2-1, DNADIFF trying to catch up. The question is, how soon can they make it happen? I mean, look at that. Big Baller Brand already getting the operator very early on the defense. Of course, you want to give it to Sugar Free on this jet, being able to get that positioning. This map is so fun to see the skills coming through with the operator. And with that, I mean, you have Neon with a Marshall, but it gets a little bit more difficult to connect those kills. Oh, never mind.
Here.
I think it'd be smart. DNADIFF, they're going to play for this orb. If they can get it into Neon's hands, then I'll have a Blade Storm, and it's effectively a full gun round. Yeah, there it goes. Now Neon can charge forward, assisted by the Owl Drone, and look to clear out this site. This defensive wall is not really going to deny Big Baller Brand. They have ways past it, and they put their own wall much deeper in onto the site. I love this setup from DNADIFF. Escorts them onto the site all the way back into Snowman, too. It's so difficult for Big Baller Brand to cross or even hang on all the way back here. Renz with a couple headshots makes it happen, though. And the timing does not really work out for DNADIFF. Well, she spots at her on top of the box. Clearing out the wall, and Aiko's position is given away. There's nothing DNADIFF can do. Valiant effort, but Big Baller Brand responding beautifully.
And a really fast response too. They didn't want to wait a single second. They wanted to regroup, be able to push together, be able to synergize and retake that site again. And that's exactly what they make happen. Big Baller Brand also with that positioning. We saw the Reyna utility being used, always being so effective along with Soba with any sort of information. And that's really what's also allowing them to get ahead every single time. DNADIFF, they had a good strategy, being able to use that Blade Storm, but it's a little bit harder, especially in a site that is so open like E.
DNADIFF, they're gonna try A again. It's just been full send city for this team thus far. No slow rounds to be found. Instinct with the Leer. Keeping players off. That Owl Drone doesn't quite spot what it was looking for, but Sugar Free's gonna give away his position regardless. Ooh! Instinct's glad he got that headshot, because that's the only way he's getting out of there. Sugar Free, how do you find that right click? That was disgusting, and it's flawless. So fast.
So fast, and it's getting faster and faster for Big Baller Brand. You have to stop them DNADIFF, even if that means for the attackers to play slower. We've talked about it before. We have a couple ultimates to use for this team, including that Showstopper. Landing it might be a little bit more difficult, but it's still possible if they want to go A. They have that space. If one of the members of Big Baller Brand is trapped in between one of the walls, that's when you take the opportunity to get those kills to guarantee at least to take control of that space.
Suddenly, it's pretty difficult for DNADIFF. They've tried executes on both sites. None of them really working out too well, right? Except for when they had a gun advantage. So now they're going to try mid to B. Oh, man. I am not a fan of mid to B's, Dryad. I'm going to be honest. Gets them so little control. And Ezire's just able to pick away at them. Look at this. There's no stopping him. All four players who charged forward dispatched in an instant. Welshi looking to steal away Ezire's ace, that he will do so. That was a slaughter.
Immediate response once again for Big Baller Brand. DNADIFF, yeah, like you said, I'm also not a fan of going from mid to B. It is just so risky every single time for reasons like these, and we saw it. Similarly, DNADIFF, hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes. They still want to try to go with the... They want to go fast. They want to take a fast approach, but it's not really working when Big Baller Brand is just playing it faster.
And I have to commend DNADIFF. It seems like they've really drilled these executes, right? Every single time they go for these full sends, that they have a plan. They use the utility, they get good control, but it's just not seamless enough to catch Big Baller Brand off guard right now. And when the executes aren't working, no matter how clean and how rehearsed they are, you have to show that you have more tactical depth in your playbook. DNADIFF, it's just a light buy from them now. They're finally splitting up and slowing down the tempo a bit. But I'd like to see this from them on an actual gun round, if they're going to make this a competitive half. This is well done, at least. That one pick on B, and then a couple players sticking around to sell the fake. DNADIFF have managed to sneak 3 players toward A, but it's taken so long. The Big Baller brand, they know what's up. Renz is already here. Waiting to catch players creeping onto site. Sees Adder falling down, and now the jig is up. Big Baller brand know exactly what's going on, and Sugar Free ain't letting it happen.
Welcome to my world.
Rez comes through onto Welshie and everything. A Viper's Pit invested into this round? I mean, I guess Big Baller brand just have to try and make it, or DNADIFF rather, just have to try and make it happen, but they don't really have the guns to hold on to this, although as I say that, Dubbin finds 2 with just a sheriff to his name. 2v3 now, but I don't believe there are actual rifles. Neon doing quite a bit of work with this Marshall, though, and suddenly Welshie's in a terrible spot. Okay, all right, fair enough, DNADIFF. I was doubting that Viper's Pit, but it worked out, so who am I to judge?
Yeah, using a lot of resources for DNADIFF to try to guarantee that round. They knew that they needed it as soon as possible. As Big Baller brand approaches the 6 rounds, maybe 7 ideally to stay ahead. The DNADIFF, good response. They were playing it slower. They realized that the pace was the biggest mistake that they made on the other round. And so they are able to fix it. They're able to confuse Big Baller brand. They didn't know what they were going. And by the time that they went to react, it was that Viper's Pit coming in.
Viper's Pit now for Big Baller brand's side. Committed on A, up top on the mid box. Classic position there for that Viper. Very powerful. Nice tag from Dubbin. Can't quite pin down Ezire, though. Not much out of that Hunter's Fury when all's said and done. Ezire's going to hear them breaking this wall in tube, too. So look at Sugar Free already coming around and rotating to cover this kitchen position. But that means, well, it's not really vulnerable. I mean, you do still have the Viper's Pit there. You can be pretty confident you're doing all right. DNADIFF, they're looking for an opening, but struggling to find one.
It's just because they realized that playing slower is really what's going to pay off. So they really want to take their time before being able to play for those picks early on. It's really the running condition right now.
No picks are gifted to them, though. And with the Viper's Pit still on A, Big Baller brand are set up with 4 players at the ready to catch this B side execute. The wall does go through. It's difficult for anyone to get past that. Instinct thinks he's snuck around it, but Neon's going to take out his buddy, and Instinct's not going to push his luck. Dubbin finding Renz, and things are looking good for DNADIFF to keep a little bit of momentum they got off that Thrifty. Instinct trying to get handsy now. Throwing that layer forward, but it's out of them to try and get past his own teammate's wall. Neon, I don't know how you ever found that shot. But well done. 3 for Dubbin, and DNADIFF get a 3rd.
They might have figured it out just in time for DNADIFF. Playing it very slow, and it was risky. They knew that the Viper's Pit was going to be an A. Going B meant that most of the members of Big Baller brand were going to be there holding defensively, but DNADIFF, with a really good positioning and also timing, were able to make it work, benefiting their economy a little bit better, and also being able to build now the Blade Storm that we will be seeing again from the side of Sugar Free for Big Baller brand is going to look good, and DNADIFF just want to keep it going.
Ooh, Instinct and Ezire playing with fire in this forward position inside the tube. Neon's gonna check it and find Ezire waiting. Instinct swings out and trades it back, so not all is lost for Big Baller brand. Ooh. I thought Sugar Free hit that for a fraction of a second, and I was flabbergasted. Welshie is gonna be able to get one, though. DNADIFF, you know, this slow style, it's worked a couple of times because they've started off with an advantage kill-wise. Now they're down a player. They have to make up the deficit, and oh, a beautiful tiny angle there from Renz. Finding Aiko going into tube, and then the recon dart gives away Dubbin's position. Everything is compromised here for DNADIFF. I don't think they're coming back from this one. Renz with yet another over top, and Sugar Free down below. will pick up not only the kill, but a gun to go with it.
And that is going to be more than enough. Big Baller Brand once again getting ahead, and one of the biggest things about this team is how good they are at adapting. We saw them struggling for those 2 rounds. They were trying to figure out the pace for DNADIFF as they change it as we saw this first half going, but now they caught up. They realized that it was all about playing in the... Even if they were playing slower, they had to be the ones getting those first picks. It happens, and it also allows them to keep it going, to keep it ahead. They cannot be behind in this first half now.
Get out of my way!
DNADIFF seems like they might go back to their hard execute style. Very heavy lean towards B here. Late Storm's out and everything. Adder on top of the box. Ooh, Instinct in a pretty cheeky position of him, his own right. Showstopper still available here too. So DNADIFF, they have tools when they decide they actually want to go for this hit. They're just playing back, trying to cut noise and mess with Big Baller Brand's minds. Ooh, Instinct, you gotta be careful. There's a lot of players around that corner, buddy. That Lear didn't go nearly where he wanted to either. Oh, so unfortunate he couldn't get it past the box, and that means he's stuck right where Dubbin wants him. Now DNADIFF, they're feeling confident. Once again, they got a pick to start it off, and that has gone well for them in the 3 rounds they've won. Izar waiting, hoping he can deny this plant, but a stage wall close makes it more difficult to do so. Izar just spamming through now, but can't actually get any catch out of that. The wall is up. Well, she feels confident he can walk out, but how do you actually remove these players from behind the box? Half stuck. Azire managed to sneak away half the charge there. Neon going through the smoke. Second shot from Sugar Free, though. Now it's just a 2v2. Neon falls, and Big Baller Brand, they've baited DNADIFF into disaster. Sugar Free's not able to stick it, though. Excellent drop on the smoke there. Now it's Izire alone. No, the knife, no! Oh, tragic for Izire. Oh, it was so close. But no cigar.
It was so close. It was both of the teams really playing to the highest level of their standards. Big Baller Brand and DNADIFF coming so close. DNADIFF realizing that the B push, that very slow push, was working out, trying to do it again, and Big Baller Brand trying to counter it, gaining the numbered advantage, but it really wasn't enough. Those ultimates, I mean, it's so risky to see it every single time. Big Baller Brand, at the defense, now they're struggling more and more.
Big Baller Brand, you know what happens when they start struggling, though. They decide, all right, time to just run at him. Izire is so far forward in this B long position, all the way on top of the box. You know, they don't know what to do with that. They're like, what the? All right, I guess we should watch for other players coming out of A. But only one side of the map was actually an aggressive gambit for Big Baller Brand.
Yeah.
Gives them so much map control, though. DNADIFF, they're so nervous. They have to clear everything. Okay, they'll know Instinct's on site now. But they still just have no information on if anyone actually pushed up toward A or if people are still hanging around B. They're going to try and re-clear B long now. But we're down to 40 seconds and they're nowhere near a site. Okay, Izire falling is going to make things a little bit easier. Well, she's now the last line of defense on B. Ooh, spots one going on top of the box there. Manages to take down Adder and catch Neon, courtesy of some information gifted to him by his team. Well, she good for a third to keep Big Baller Brand in the running. And now it's just Dubbin standing. I mean, he'll be able to get Renz for a third in the round himself.
10 seconds.
That's where Instinct is too, but has to walk out into Sugar Free. That rarely goes well.
Big Baller Brand really making them uncomfortable now. It was just pushing forward, playing aggressive, and DNADIFF, they wanted to go A, then they wanted to go B again. Everyone was pushing forward, seeing this Viper getting 3 kills, and that is it. DNADIFF not really able to execute their plan again. They're getting really, really uncomfortable, and Big Baller Brand now getting ahead for this first half. Not really any opportunity. DNADIFF, they just want to get at least one more round before the swap.
DNADIFF, they will start off, or they will end how they started. And it doesn't start very well. The beautiful angle there too. Sugar Free, not quite good for that second. Neon's chasing him down, but Instinct stabbed into the middle of the offense and found the spike on the ground. DNADIFF, they're blown away. There's nothing they can do. It's just Dubbin, and all he's got is an Ares to fight 5 players. Flawless to finish half number 1.
Fully surrounded for DNADIFF, and Big Baller Brand, this is kind of a nightmare situation for DNADIFF, as you know how Big Baller Brand, how good they are on the attacking side. You gave them a lot of rounds on the defense, and now this is their time to shine a little bit more. DNADIFF, I want to see their responses being a little bit fast. They're always hesitant when they see A or B getting pushed, and they want to wait longer. But it's just those reaction times that might guarantee that the retake is a little bit easier for that synergy to go on.
Don't forget, folks, all this amazing action here at the NorQuest Esports Series is brought to you by so many amazing sponsors, including Explore Edmonton. 1 million+ Edmontonians call Alberta's capital their home. They're entrepreneurs, experts, and hosts that can turn your opportunities into a reality. So find out more at exploreedmonton.com.
There.
And as we get into this pistol round, I do have an update on our other semifinal right now. Obey has taken map number 1. It was 14-12 on Bind, so it went to overtime in Obey Alliance versus Team Ancient. So I'm glad both these semifinals, just such phenomenal matches. Sugar Free, ooh, in a heap of trouble. That's 3 players he that pushed into him there. Quite a bit of damage, but no actual eliminations. So Big Baller Brand, they still got to be careful about how they play this. Seems like they've masterfully evaded most of the defense, though. They're going to get onto A without too much trouble as long as they make it quick.
Found them.
Any information is going to be helpful for the attackers now. We're seeing a couple members. Still only 1.
Spike's going to get planted here. Does seem like there was a raise nade actually denying that. Welshie forced all the way back and drops the spike underneath the rafters. 2v2 now. The heal almost coming up here for Adder. So he's going to be able to, or Aiko rather. He's going to be able to get himself topped up. Oh, this is so cheeky from Instinct. But look, Nick was at least watching it, has an inkling of an idea that somebody could be waiting up here. But we're out of time. We're down to 13 seconds. Big Baller Brand, they have to make a move now. Aiko's spotted. Oh, Instinct had the right idea, but couldn't land the shots. DNADIFF will win, I believe, their first pistol of this series.
Yeah, and it was also a really good response that we saw from them. Being able to time it, get both of them at the same time, almost. And it just Big Baller Brand out in a little bit of a struggle, knowing that, yeah, like you said, this is the first time where we don't see them winning that pistol round, meaning that they can't go into those specters, but they're not going to be worried about it yet. They're still ahead, and still the attacking side for them.
Standing ahead.
Anti-eco now. Last some sheriff teams. Or Big Baller Brands. Ooh. Nick, you gotta be a little bit careful. Don't want to drop your Spectre over to the attackers here. That Poison Orb is gonna keep Big Baller Brand off for at least a while. Don't really want to walk underneath that one way. And there's so many guns waiting for Big Baller Brand. The second this smoke drops, it's going to be very bloody. All right, already 1 dropping. The wall going up from the attackers, though, so they're able to stave off most of the bloodshed. These are pushing forward, though. The spike has yet to be planted, keep in mind. Renz, you good, buddy? You having some fun there? Just playing some hopscotch while you wait for your demise to push you? Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Just pretty much going the way that we expected here, with their Spectres being able to get that positioning as well on the defense being so good for DNADIFF. Well, Big Baller Brand still trying to make something happen. They're trying to build those ultimates. They're trying to get the momentum going with the right speed. It's just not working once you're able to get picked up. They do have the guns to do it now.
Big Baller Brand
There.
walking out with rifles. Mostly Spectres here for DNADIFF. It seems like they're going to get aggressive with them. Oh, poor Sugar Free. He had no idea that out of 2K was going for that play.
Out of charges.
Reminder, Big Baller Brand, they need to win this round comfortably if they want to have any semblance of economy heading forward into their attacking half. Another heavy lean towards this B site, too, for Big Baller Brand. And look at the mid control they've lost. Neon's made his way over. Thankfully, this is not an op. It is a Marshall. Instincts. Jeez. Taking... I mean, he gets the pick at least.
Headshot.
Ooh. Oh! The Collat Marshall
No.
headshot. You're kidding me. Oh. Oh, God. I need a shower after that one. That's just filthy.
Oh, that's so filthy. Wow.
Jeez. All right. Well, Big Baller Brand, now they're going to be lucky if they walk away with a win.
One enemy
Love
remaining.
that jump peek,
30
too. There's
seconds
nothing
left.
Instinct can do there. Trying to creep underneath. Izar at least picks up one, but what do you even do here? You have basically no information other than the fact that Neon's in kitchen. He's going to try and wall off one side. Manages to find the pick onto Dubbin. Suddenly, a winnable round. As Izar has a heal to top himself off, too. We'll hear Neon hopping around, so knows that one is coming from Rafters. If he can isolate that 1v1 and win it quickly, he'll outpace Adder 2K. But Adder is here and will find him. No such luck for Izar. Good attempt. There's only so much you can do in a 1v4.
That was insane. I can't get over it. I can't. Oh my god. DNADIFF looking so much better now on the attacking side. Playing it a lot better. Playing it faster, but also knowing exactly how to counter Big Baller Brand, who are really struggling. I mean, they got their economy for a little bit, and look at that. They lost it again. When Neon now, with the operator, with this positioning, might be able to make more things work out for their team.
Bro, I mean, if Neon can flat headshot with a Marshall, I'm
Yep.
suddenly terrified of the op on a map like Icebox. Neon was struggling on Ascent with the op, right? But Ascent, there's only so many angles you can play from. Big Baller Brand were able to force him out most of the time. Now Neon has the opportunity to play so many cheeky spots. Doesn't quite make that first shot happen. Dubbin's here, so DNADIFF are looking to hold on to this back site. And does get forced out. Well, she takes advantage. That was a beautiful snake bite to set himself up. Ooh, but well, she doesn't expect a second coming from the rafters. Spike's been dropped now, and things are not looking good for Big Baller Brand. They'll trade a little bit. Ren's doing what he can. Ren's has been pretty good with this Sheriff, all things considered, throughout the 2 days we've seen him play. But this would be a monumental clutch. Ooh!
Revealing area. I have the spike.
Aiko gives away his position. And Renz should know now vaguely where they're
Enemy
standing.
remaining.
Wings out! Oh! Oh! That was disgusting.
Oh.
Hurt him. He hurt him. All Renz has to do is wait.
30 seconds left.
30 seconds available. He has the spike. He can go for this fake anytime he wants. Not quite able to pull it off. Enough time has passed. Renz didn't know where Neon was standing, but now will be fully aware. Has to go for the plant, but Neon is charging forward. Uses the cloud burst to keep him off it. Renz only has so much time. He has to go for a safe plant here, and now Neon could be standing anywhere. Neon knows exactly where he's planted. Renz needs such a ridiculous headshot. Right there it is! Renz! What a ridiculous play!
There's so many insane plays going on right now for both of the two teams, trying to stay ahead. Big Baller Brand, they were scared now. They were almost tied up with DNADIFF, but they didn't let it happen. They got that round just in time, and what a clutch from that Sova.
I love everything about what Renz just did. Playing around the recon darts, the information, the spike play. Like, I want to just like pause and spend 30 minutes talking about that play, but we don't have time for that. We got to keep this game going. Big Baller Brand, they hold on to their lead off of that amazing clutch, but you can only count on so many clutches throughout an attacking half. Big Baller Brand, they need to form some consistency off a round like that. They found their way pretty deep onto A, and with that wall dropping, they're confident now that they can clear out the site and get this spike going. Not much to stop them either, especially since they're going to be able to use the Viper's Pit. Ooh, sugar-free? Oh, they just spotted each other, but through the smokes, Neon had an easier time hitting the headshot. Not an unfavorable position here for Big Baller Brand by any stretch of the imagination, but now as they lose Instinct, things are looking worse for wear. Instinct's body did fall, so you can get the res off that, but it just sets up Adder for the 2K. Oh, well, she trades one, but no more clutches. Not this time. DNADIFF. Stabilizing.
The duel is putting the work here. 3 and 3, being able to get them through that rest coming from Big Baller Brand. Trying to get something going, but actually ending up getting taken down with that showstopper. Beautiful work from DNADIFF now. Still, they are so close to getting ahead. They are so close, but Big Baller Brand, they get so aggressive, so defensive just to keep that advantage.
And I mean, Big Baller Brand, now they're out of money again, right? DNADIFF are looking like they're going to be able to finally catch up. Good discipline there from Neon. Spots a lot of people, and even though he's got the better gun, doesn't want to risk fighting 5. That Owljohn got so much information. Saw 3 players. Instinct was spotted there, down below. Well, she lining them up. Manages to trade out pretty well, and I may have spoken too soon on whether or not Big Baller Brand were actually going to walk away without this round. I mean, they've done a good job thus far. Nick is spotted, and well, she wins the Viper 1v1. And now it's just Neon in a 1v4. Okay, so I guess we're not tying up this round.
Speed faster.
Not a bad first shot, but still a very long road to walk here for Neon. And has to somehow get up and over this wall. That Cloudburst is only going to allot him so much free space. There's only 3 angles that he can come from, and each of them is being watched. Ren spots him. Now you just wait if you're Big Baller Brand, right? There's no reason to walk forward. There's no reason to take a hasty 1v1. You just set up a crossfire like that and let your excellent aimers do their work. Double digits now for Big Baller Brand.
Yeah, good positioning, and it's going to be the timeout now for DNADIFF. Most likely. I mean, again, they are getting so close, but every time they're about to tie up, Big Baller Brand just makes miracles happen. They make the impossible happen. Even when they're on that eco round, even with the Spectres, they were able to connect those kills, especially from that Viper, just in time and guaranteeing the number advantage coming through for this team. It just happens every single time. It was pretty much the same scenario on that last map. It was getting closer. It was getting very close. It was getting risky for Big Baller Brand to stay on top. But DNADIFF, they just couldn't ever really catch up.
Don't forget, folks, all this amazing action is brought to you, of course, by our beautiful sponsors, as I've been saying all day long. And now, we get to thank NorQuest, the name of the tournament, the biggest ballers on the table. Yes, Big Baller Brand, you guys are great, but NorQuest is really the ones we need to thank, serving over 19,000 learners from the Edmonton region and around the world. For more information on NorQuest College and their exciting programs, make sure you check out www.norquest.ca. Timeout's done. Let's get on into it here. Checking in with the resources, DNADIFF. They do have quite a bit available, right? A res for a little bit of a buffer. They can play aggressive if they want, and it seems like Neon's going to do just that. Heading straight on in, a recon dart going to clear a ton of space here toward A. But Neon not pushing his luck. Just getting the orb for Adder. And getting the heck out of Dodge. Big Baller Brand, they seem nervous now. They realize that there was an play early. And they don't know to the full extent that DNADIFF went for that. Neon spotted here. Got to be a little bit careful. Don't want to hang around up top too long. And will dash away.
The hunt begins.
Seems like DNADIFF are just going to let this go through. They've got a Hunter's Fury and a Res, so they don't really need to hard contest this. Hunter's Fury actually invested pretty early here. Instinct was trying to push it, but didn't really get far enough past a site. And now it's a 3v5. Neon's going to recover a gun. And while Sugar Free's in a very powerful position, needs somebody to actually push him, make use of that. And there's no reason to push until the spike starts getting planted. Adder's covering Ezire on that angle too. Ezire's able to sneak around just barely, but Sugar Free not quite able to take it. Natter takes 2 more. Now Renz is left all alone, and yeah, they just spam the ever-loving bullets into him. DNADIFF, they haven't quite caught up to Big Baller Brand yet, but they are keeping it ever so close, Triad.
Yeah, will it happen? I mean, this is a question that we have. Will it happen this time to have the economy for DNADIFF to keep it going? They seem to catch up on the tempo from the sort of Big Baller Brand. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they catch up to this round? I mean, just looking at the economy, looking at everything.
Look,
it seems very likely, but...
but we've said that twice now. And every time, Big Baller Brand has come up with something crazy on these low economic rounds. So I'm not counting any more chickens. They gotta hatch before I see them, Dryad.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Orion a couple of years done, so still winnable for Big Baller Brand.
I mean, at this point, I'd give them at least somewhat decent odds in a round where they could only use their knives. That's how consistent they've looked on these low economic rounds thus far. This is dangerous, though. They swing out here carelessly. They're going to find quite a bit. Use the Owl Drone to clear it out, though. Nice patient play. Good discipline from Big Baller Brand, and they get some valuable information. Unfortunately, it's information in the middle of the map, so it doesn't really give them a vulnerable site to hit. They're just going to have to try their luck today. Neon hopping around should have been heard there. Or, I'm sorry, Sugar Free hopping around should have been heard there by Neon. So, yeah. This plant is
30 seconds left.
Definitely given away. Ooh. They just fought each other yet again. Neon and Sugar Free, they've been battling back and forth all day long. But this time, Sugar Free opts out of it. Not going to go for the ego fight. Instead, falling back and realizing that all he has to do is play time with his team. This is a difficult retake for DNADIFF, but they do have the showstopper. Adder 2K has already come up with miracles, but he will be put into the ground before he has a chance. Neon trades it back and actually gets another through the smoke. I think Instinct's gun might have been poking through there. A recon dart sets up Renz, but Dubbin's not letting him get away with it. 2 versus 2, but Nick's just sticking the defuse. Well, she stops him, though.
Oh,
just barely.
God. They just don't let them tie up. They don't let them. It doesn't matter if they're down in that economy. It just never happens. It has to be so frustrating for DNADIFF. They do so good in so many rounds. A couple rounds in a row that they're able to get. And when they think that it's about to be them getting ahead, it doesn't happen. Big Baller Brand, it seems like they realize exactly what they have to do. Now both of the teams full buying, but light shields coming through for DNADIFF.
Baller Brand just keeping that little bit of space. It's like Gojo. DNADIFF can never actually make contact with the scoreline of Big Baller Brand. There's an increasing infinity between them. And it might just keep increasing. Ren's finding that first pick onto Adder makes this a difficult round for DNA. They're going to have to early invest the barrier wall to try and funnel Big Baller Brand around yellow. But they're not biting. We've gotten some presence toward A. Instinct sticking around just to keep players here for DNADIFF. And keep DNADIFF doubting. It's a slow clear toward A, though. And the longer this takes, the more likely it is that Big Baller Brand is found out. Aiko not pushing that angle aggressively, actually. Doesn't get the information on the cross. It's going to come down to Neon. He's going to get first contact here over toward A. Instinct, well, he did what he could. Stayed around long enough to keep two players there. But Neon managing to find Welshi. 4v3, DNADIFF have the player advantage.
You will not kill my ally.
Ooh, both reses committed. Ezire covering his beautifully. Knew that Neon was going to try and punish that. And doesn't let him get away with it. Now the Viper's Pit invested by, I believe, actually both teams. But Welshi's going to fall. Adder on the flank too, but we're running out of time. Sugar Free still hanging around. He's going to swing through that smoke. Finds the diffuser. And Ezire cleans it up. Map and match point for Big Baller Brand now. DNADIFF, they need to win 3 in a row if they want a chance to head to the grand finals.
I feel so invested on this match. There's so many crazy plays that we've seen in Big Baller Brand. Always being able to stay ahead is every single time in every map that we've seen them. It is absolutely insane how they're able to adapt so fast to any playstyle that DNADIFF wants to bring to them. DNADIFF, we talked about it at the beginning, they're an insane team known for other champions that they played on. But Big Baller Brand and their players are also trying to get a name for themselves.
Not a half bad recon dart there. Spotting that Welshi's over toward B, but it's just Welshi who's spotted. Really a wealth of information for DNADIFF. Running low on economy as well. Nick just jump peeking this, trying to keep control. Ooh, Instinct spots him. Love the discipline there from Big Baller Brand. Using the snake bite to clear that out. Make sure that nothing is going to slip by them. And with Sugar Free watching mid, DNADIFF, they're going to have to hit some nasty shots to actually stay in this series. A wall is going to deny them really any opportunity to do so either. That's a nice paint shell. Bounced off yellow. Denies the spike plant for a while. But with Sugar Free winning 2 fights in mid, ugh, what can you do? Nickel finally put him down, but Renz has found the opening over toward A, and Instinct now just has to isolate one last kill. Spots him up there. Adder is stuck behind the wall. Only has a Sheriff to his name. Are we going to end with another right-click kill? Hunter's Fury across the map just for the sake of it, and Big Baller Brand will finish it off and move on to the grand finals.
Really good job from Big Baller Brand. From beginning to end, like we talked about, they're so good at adapting every single time. They know how and when to stay ahead, and they didn't even let it get tied. An amazing job. And also, of course, thank you to one of our sponsors, Pepsi. We're thankful to have Pepsi supporting the NorQuest Esports series this weekend. Try Pepsi, zero sugar, great taste, and zero sugar.
Man, zero sugar, but these games are pretty sweet. Am I right?
They are.
Aha. See, that was an intentional pun. That's what it sounds like when I do that on purpose. Big
Not the
Baller
toxic
Brand.
one, right?
not the toxic one. Although now I'm gonna do that on purpose in future matches. You don't have to deal with it for today though. We're gonna deal with at least one more match. We're still waiting on the other semifinal to finish up. That's currently 1-0 Obey Alliance. They won the first map, but it's pretty close on map number 2 we're getting. It's 8-9 right now. And if they go to a third map, we might hop in to see how that one finishes up. So make sure you stick around. We're going to go to a quick break, but there's plenty more Valorant to be played.